Hi second graders, it's Mrs. Meyer here in my room and I'm here to do a science lesson. I miss you guys so much and I just hope that you are staying healthy and making good choices. We are going to talk about, first of all, this science experiment is called Excited About Density. Excited about density because we all just celebrated something with eggs. We are excited about density. And I want you to think in your head right now about what you think this word means. This word is dense. What do you think it means to be dense? So I have a drawing of regular water versus salt water. These little speckles are supposed to be salt. Which one do you think has more density, is more dense, the regular water or salt water? Think about that in your head for a moment. If you think that salt water is more dense, you are correct. Because being dense means having more stuff or more matter in the same amount of space. And salt water has more matter because it has water and salt. So in our experiment, I have 1 jar of fresh water and 2 jars of salt water. I've already added some salt to these, but I want you to see me adding a teaspoon of salt to this one and a teaspoon of salt to this one. And then I'm going to stir it in. So you can do this at home. You want to make sure that you have the exact same amount of water in each of your clear glasses. Okay, and then I have 3 chicken eggs. And we are going to put an egg in each of our jars. And I want you to think in your head about what do you think will happen in the fresh water? What do you think will happen in the salt water? These two are exactly the same right now. They have the same amount of water and salt. So I wonder what is going to happen. And then I want you to think about why. Why is that going to happen? So here I'm going to put 1 egg in the fresh water with no salt. And you can see that this egg it's sunk. Okay, this egg did sink. What do you think is going to happen when I put it in the salt water? And you can kind of see that this egg it's not all the way at the bottom. It's coming back up to the top. And let's see what happens in this salt water. And this egg, it's hard to see it because it's kind of cloudy, but it's coming back up to the top too. It's not all the way at the bottom like the egg in the fresh water. So when the density, if an object is lower than the density of the water it's placed in, it will float. So since the salt water is denser, the egg is lower, so it can float. And let's see what happens actually in this one. Let me take this one out, and let's see if we add more salt, if it will do a better job of floating to the top. When I did this at home, it did a little bit better, so that you could really see what happens. Oh, this one's floating better now, so you can see it floating at the top. Maybe it just took a minute. And this one's all the way at the top now. You can, if you look down in it, you can see the top of the egg poking out of the water. What do you think will happen if you saw what happened when I added more salt? It pushed the egg to the top because the water becomes more dense than the egg. What do you think will happen when I add water and this one's actually floating at the top now too. Let me add water to this one so you can see what happens when you add more water, more fresh water and less salt. Now the egg is starting to sink towards the bottom. I want you to think in your head about why that may be happening. I'm also going to give you a challenge. I was going to do this right now, but instead I'm going to ask you to do this because I think you probably have these at home. These eggs are different than the eggs I use because these eggs are hard-boiled. I want you to take from this, I want you to do this at home with water, with fresh water and salt water. Just do two, do fresh water and salt water, and see what happens with hard-boiled eggs. And if you get really bored, do fresh water and sugar water and see what happens with regular eggs versus hard-boiled eggs. And then we can talk about this when we Zoom together. So I'm actually going to end this with, I want you to experiment at home and think about the word dense. Remember, the word dense means how much stuff or matter is in the same amount, is in the amount of space, in the mass. This is called mass, the amount of space. And the salt is the matter. I want you to experiment with that, and then I want you also to, when you come back with me and we Zoom together, I want you to be ready to tell me what happened. So thank you so much for listening to me today, and I love you and miss all of you.